What's up, Deadheads? Welcome to another Fear the Walking Dead spoiler review. This is John Dunning, Johnny Walker, whatever you want to call me. This is for season 4, episode 7, the wrong side of where you are now, something like that. It's a pretty long title. I think it's like the wrong side of where where we were of where we were. I don't know. It's a long ass title. But yes, this is season 7. This is the episode right before the finale. So this is kind of a big one, or at least 10 episodes before mid-season finales or finales, and this is and I'm sorry, that's going to be the mid-season finale, tend to be kind of slowish, kind of a build-up episode, kind of a filler, if you will, sometimes. The wrong side of where you are now. That's the right way to say it. Thank you. But it wasn't okay. So let's kind of dive into this one. And I have some big news coming up for Tuesday night as far as with The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead go. But let's just hey, Psycho Cat, what's up? He's in the chat as well. But we do have some big news as far as the show goes, and it's already spoiled on Twitter, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So this episode, in this season's completely. I'm not quiet about this being my favorite season of Fear the Walking Dead. I think it's absolutely incredible. I enjoy the facelift, so to speak, of this franchise with what they've been doing, what they've been able to do with injecting these new characters, with injecting some new villains. And I have to say, when we started talking about Fear season 4 in the beginning, Dead Guy Ty and I and some other folks, I was very skeptical about these villains. The Vultures, to me, it just seemed like they were just kind of MacGuffins, just like, they were kind of analog of the Saviors a little bit, where they just kind of show up and we're just there as a plot device, basically to create conflict, because it's a TV show and you have to have conflict on TV shows. And that's fine. I get it. I can't, you're not just going to watch a TV show if it's just everyone holding hands, getting along. Especially not set in this kind of setting. It just doesn't make sense. So I understand that you do need these things, these speed bumps for our protagonists to kind of drive over, make it a little bit more bumpy. But, at first I'm just like, yeah, they're just kind of boring. It's just like, okay, they're kind of like a nomad group going from place to place and either waiting these other communities out until Rome falls, so to speak, or they actually are the catalyst to why these places aren't working out so well. And that's and then they just kind of come in and swoop in like a vulture would. And the person that is kind of centered around this, at least so we thought, was Mel. Mel was kind of, it was Mel and Ennis or whatever, and that was kind of the brothers that were kind of leading the pack. And then, of course, what happens to Nick in episode 2 of this season, and Charlie kind of inserts herself as a reluctant major villain as well. So at the end of we had a week off of Fear the Walking Dead because of Memorial Day. Or was it Memorial Day? Yeah, it was Memorial Day. I'm like, or was it Labor Day? No, it was Memorial Day. But so we had a week off, and right before that, I was just like, the episode starts with the episode ended then. Last week's or 2 weeks ago's episode ended with the two sides kind of finally confronting each other in the present time. There's been a lot of confrontation in these flashbacks at the Diamond, the stadium, between the Vultures and the Clark family, and Madison's group at the Diamond. But now it's kind of they've met up to current times, and we're hoping to get some answers as far as where's Madison and kind of what happened and what's going on with Naomi, because that last episode ended with everyone pulling their guns on each other, and then Naomi pops out of the car. There's that reveal that she is a part of the Vultures, or kind of becomes part of the Vultures, and then John kind of gets in the way, and Alicia shoots John, which is just a complete travesty, like I said before, if he does wind up dying. But this episode picks up maybe a little bit after that, and I'm not sure, because they were literally all standing 2 feet away from each other, like barrel to barrel, basically. And the episode starts with, Morgan helping Naomi kind of help John not die and not bleed out. And they're behind a car. They're all the way on the other side behind a car, and then you just hear gunshots going, and everyone's already in cover, doing the best, first person shooter kind of cover thing going on. But it was just a little weird because it just seems like, there was only Strand, Alicia, and Luciana there. That it's like 3 people had guns to an entire little subgroup. Maybe not everyone showed up to dinner at the right time, so maybe it wasn't the entire strength of the force of the vultures, but it just seemed a little bit bizarre that it was just like 3 people with guns pointing guns at the vultures, and then when this episode started, they're already spread out in cover and trading fire. It just seems like, if anything, it was going to be like, and this is a big spoiler, and if you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, do it, because it's one of the best movies ever. So 3, 2, 1, shut off the video if you haven't seen it. Okay, you're still here. It seemed like the end of Reservoir Dogs, where just everyone was just going to shoot each other dead, and that was it. And that would have been a hell of a way to pick this episode up. Can you imagine? I mean, it seems like they're going that way anyway. It seems like they're killing off every single person out of Fear anyway. So why waste the time? Just eliminate Alicia, Strand, and and Lucy right there, because some of the major vulture people didn't make it out of this anyway. So it's just like, you might as well do it. Stop slow rolling me, bro. Just rip the Band-Aid off. But like I said, everyone was in cover. Morgan kind of is now very vocal, and he's just like, this is my friend, I'm going to try to help Naomi. I mean, I'm sure he knows what's going on with her, but he also knows that, John's mission was to find her. And so he is now pretty much loyal to John, and he doesn't want to lose his, new only friend. So that is why he decides to kind of throw in his lot there. Naomi, Jenna Elfman looks absolutely crazy. She looks like, it's like Mad Max version of Jenna Elfman. She looks like Rufio from Hook. She has these weird, tight cornrow side braid things going on. She looks absolutely ridiculous. She looks just like Rufio. I don't know, I was expecting her to crow or something, but whatever. I mean, life's tough on the road. You don't always have product, I guess. But they wind up, or Morgan goes up to Al, and Al's kind of in the corner filming everything, as Al tends to do, because, as she said, she's not so much there for a side, she's there for the story, to document the story. But if she gets shot, it doesn't matter whose side or not. If you're Switzerland in a world war, you're probably going to get wiped out. So Morgan kind of pleads with her to kind of pick a side, at least not pick a side, but just be able to grab Naomi and John and everybody to save his life. So he does convince her to do that, where Al even has to turn the side guns on the SWAT car onto Alicia, because it didn't look like she was going to let them go. And that's totally fine. I totally get where Alicia's coming from, because she does feel very betrayed by Naomi, someone that was a loose cannon, someone that did meet Madison, as she stated later on in the episode. She met Madison by pulling a gun on her, and they still gave her a break. And then she tried to leave Alicia at the water park, and they still brought her back and gave her a break. They, when Strand and Madison went on that road trip with her to her old place at that survival place, the crisis center rather, she did take off. So there were all these signs of, that she was a flight risk, and she was all these things, but she was talked into kind of jumping over to the dark side and joining the vultures. And Alicia was pissed, and I totally get where she's coming from. It's just, I don't know, Al, if she didn't have that cool ass SWAT, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit tired of Al. But whatever, she's still there. It's just, I don't know. Maggie Grace's character and Maggie Grace in general, not my favorite part of this. Oh, Tasty Snackies is making an appearance in the chat. Yeah, he has no idea what's going on, but thanks for joining anyways, Nick. We're talking, Fear the Walking Dead. We're talking zombies, the better of the Walking Dead shows at this point. I just probably lost like 40 million followers. Yeah, right. In my dreams, I got like 4. But anyways, so at this point, I don't really like Maggie Grace as much, but she could turn it around. I have no idea. But they kind of jump in and they go to uh so while they're jumping in the SWAT van, Morgan does see Charlie out there, and Charlie's this little girl. She just, she did pop a cap in Nick's ass, but it is very important that Morgan is just like, hey, there's got to be somewhere, and that's kind of what Madison's mantra was. I guess towards the end of whatever happened at the Diamond, where it was just like, there's got to be, everyone's redeemable. There's got to be a point where where everything can change. And it looks like, maybe even uncharacteristically, I'd argue a little bit, that Morgan keeps trying to make fetch happen. He keeps trying to force peace. So he does grab Charlie along, and they're going, and Al's saying that, I know what happened. We heard their side of the story. And then Charlie basically takes ownership over everything. She's like, yeah, I'm the one that killed Nick. Everything that happened at the Diamond is my fault. And then, like we said at the beginning of covering this season, I didn't want this whole thing to be a bunch of flashbacks, flash forwards, the entire time, but they have handled it pretty well. And so we did get to see, and I feel like this is kind of the beginning of the end as far as, wrapping up the flashbacks go. I have, this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, and some speculation, but I have a feeling that we're going to get to the mid-season finale after next week, and it's just going to kind of cut that kind of back and forth off a little bit, because I think it's the Diamond thing is wrapping up pretty nicely, especially with that final shot of the episode. But as they're going back, or in the flashback rather, it's I guess Charlie radios in, and see, this is, I just want to come straight out and say that this was not my favorite episode this season. This was probably my least favorite episode this season. Usually I say my thoughts on how good or bad the thing is at the end of one of these things, but I just, it's kind of important to know that this was the episode of just fucking stupid decisions, just dumb TV decisions, where this show was getting smart for that. And in the past, in Fear's past, maybe a little bit in season 1, but not so much, but season 2, it was all dumb decisions. So, it didn't stick out so much because you were just kind of used to that, just people making shitty decisions. In this season feels too smart, too slick to have people make these dumbass decisions, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But it's, they let Charlie in. Charlie's like, oh, guys, Mel's hurt. And it's like, fuck, great. I hope that dude dies. The last time we saw him, he's threatening Madison in an ominous way. So of course, wipe this dude out, or let nature take its course and let this guy die. I guess he's trying to get away from whatchamacallit, his brother is really the loose cannon, so to speak. So he's trying to get away from that, and so he gets in some kind of stupid car accident, which it didn't even really explain. I mean, he's driving a giant bus, and he head-ons with a semi, but neither has front end damage. It was really weird, and Nick was right. Like, it looked so fishy, and it was so stupid. The way it was set up, it just looked very staged. But I guess Mel has like a broken rib, and he's, throughout the entire episode, he's selling it well, even when he's kind of found out. I guess he is injured or something like that. But the whole thing was just really lazy, the way the storytelling was, as far as getting Mel in there, getting Charlie in there to basically infiltrate the Diamond, because it made it seem like it wasn't even a planned thing with how Mel left and how Charlie was kind of there, because I don't know, it didn't really seem very planned until maybe in the mid-season finale next week, we're gonna since they're all trapped in the car together, that's when he's gonna be like, haha, I was fine the whole time. But Naomi did look him over and said that he was definitely hurt and coughing and had a broken rib. So I don't know. So he does the whole thing where he's talking to Naomi, because Naomi's loyalty, that's just in her character, and that makes sense, that she is so flighty and so wishy-washy, and she's just gonna do the thing that makes her survive. So it didn't take much to to talk her into that. So Mel, kind of just says that this is dumb. My brother's coming. He's coming with with a makeshift herd. And that's the best thing about this episode. I loved the artificial herd. And it's not artificial because it was a bunch of zombies. It was a bunch of walkers coming, but it was artificial in the sense where it was all the ones that Ennis and Mel and the vultures have been collecting from these different places, storing them in these little caches of dead. And then whenever you don't pay the rent and you want to evict your tenant, you fucking put them all in the back of a truck and then just let them out, or an ice cream truck. And the fact that they were in an ice cream truck made it even more creepy. I don't know. It was just really, that part was absolutely great. I think that the artificial herd is so cool. I thought that was a great idea. But it's just them. Or so then Madison's just like, no, she takes a hard stance of she's not leaving. She's built the diamond up to stay, a place for her and her children, and this other community. Her being kind of top dick is now maybe going to her head a little bit, and she is she has fortified this place, and she is kind of set up for the long run, especially since Naomi brought back all the provisions to kind of start over again, even though Nick says we're not even going to get any fruits of our labor, literally and figuratively, for another like month or two or whatever. So they still have to starve and ration up until they're even getting tiny little buds of food that they're growing. So it just seems like Matt, yes, it was ultimately, Nick and Alicia and Strand that were the reasons why Rome fell. But Madison's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just her complex of, her leadership complex and her pride, rather, got in the way and really was the thing that tore it all down. But, she starts literally tearing down Naomi's little apartment. And that was, and that almost kind of confirmed what Naomi was, her loyalty was shaking. And it wasn't like, oh shit, now I got to sleep outside. But it was just like, that was the first place that Naomi probably set up roots since the zombie apocalypse. And it was just very, it was very metaphorical that Madison's tearing it down brick by brick. And she's just like, we're staying. We got to fortify the walls. But Naomi probably took it as, this is the only place that I did drink the Kool-Aid, and I bought it, and now you're tearing it down, type of thing. So and she was basically right though. Naomi was basically right. What's up, Eric from Man Cave, MTG. Tasty Snack says the scathing review. Well, yeah, I mean, if it smells like shit, it's shit. No, but it wasn't shit. I mean, there was some good things to be had. Definitely, like I said, the artificial herd, just the idea of that was freaking sweet. I loved that. But so what's his face? Mel kind of gets up, and because he starts getting to Naomi, and then more and more people are just, she didn't want that getting out. She didn't want any of the doubt kind of circling around the community. So before that happened and that starts spreading and people start kind of jumping on board with Mel and now, a waffling Naomi, she kicks him out. She puts him in the Range Rover and sends him on his way. And that's totally fine. That was totally reasonable. It's just like, he is basically, for all intents and purposes, the leader of the bad guys. He is the brother, he's one half of the bad guys. So go ahead and either execute his ass or get rid of him. That's more humane what she did. She sent him with provisions and everything, and there you go. And then the bad decisions just kept coming in, and she didn't let him take Charlie. But that was another thing where it's just like, was this all calculated? Are we going to find out next week that was the thing that was calculated? Where it's because Mel really didn't give up or give that much of a fight. He just said, let me take her, and he keeps kind of pleading with her that he knows how this is going to end, and he knows that and he said before that he's caused some of these places to fall. He set a whole camp on fire with pretty much or directed wildfire or whatever it was. He Dracarys some fucking people. But yeah, he he has seen this before. He kind of saw the writing on the wall. But he did wind up leaving without Charlie. Charlie starts freaking out because she knows that no, he's got a broken rib and all this stuff. And just the fact that Nick and Alicia even listened was just so stupid. I mean, this little girl played everyone like a damn fiddle, and they just bought it. And that was, I mean, especially Nick that was so uncharacteristic for both of them. I mean, Alicia's been through some shit. Alicia had to put down man, woman, and child one by one by hand with a knife. And spoiler review for anyone that hasn't seen this show. In season 3, she took out like 50 people by lethal injection and then stabbing them in the brain while oxygen deprived. I mean, Alicia is made of tougher stuff, especially at this point. There's no way she would have went out and for this douchebag. Nick too, Nick's a freaking basket case, but I don't know. I hated the decision. Then Strand's like, oh yeah, you got to do what you got to do. That's what medicine did for me. I mean, what were they expecting? They just wanted to have this guy back in the fold. Did they think that was going to bring Charlie on board? I don't know. I just thought it was dumb. And then before we progress with the flashback, they did go back to the flash forward, and it did. That was a pretty cool scene. That while Naomi was trying to fix John, field medic on the spot. She was going to the ice cream truck to get the supplies, or maybe it was a ambulance, but I think it was an ice cream truck. But either way, that's where the medical supplies were. And then fucking Alicia just bombs his ass with a grenade launcher. That was pretty sweet, especially because later on in the episode he's crawling out, and at that point I thought he was a walker, but he was still alive. He was just a cooked piece of crispy bacon, kind of crawling over to where Alicia was, and she's just like, she's talking to him and expecting answers. The dude's like lips are basically fused together because he just got blowed up. There was absolutely, no way that he was going to be responding after that. So that was a cool scene. And she did use her cool little, Alicia sword, which was, the carbine off a carbine. I don't know anything about guns. So whatever it was, the barrel or something. And she wound up stabbing him off camera, which is kind of shitty, but it was a good scene, especially because she used it to kill one of the walker that turned the one that John had a showdown with in a couple episodes before. She just raked it across his eye and killed him, that stabbed him far enough in the eye to get the brain, and it definitely showed that. So I didn't know why they kind of killed Mel off screen, especially because he's supposed to be one of the big bads. That guy was just kind of like a little lieutenant. But anyways, so yeah, Alicia winds up killing Mel. So Mel's, we know now is out of the picture. So then, then we get to, it's stupid that Alicia and Nick go out and they find Mel and he's parked on the side or whatever. And so they put him in the car, and then they see the convoy, and it's a bunch of trailer trucks just full of walkers. And it was a cool scene when they're flipping through, because the scouts went out and checked on these little caches, because they knew that there was with the flag and the number and all that, they were checking to see just what was going on, and all these things were empty. And of course, as a TV show, they slow rolled it, and it's like 47, because it means that whatever number was on that flag was how many walkers were actually in that container. And they're flipping, it's like 47, 75, 127, and it's just like slowly going up. It's not even out of order at all. It's like whoever placed these flags down with the numbers like did it in a ascending order just for dramatic effect. It's like, wow, dick. And then the last one turned out to be like 700 or something like that. It was a lot. I didn't know what trailer those were in, but they were in a trailer. So that's when the ice cream truck comes first, has a nice trail of something, and I thought it was maybe a trail of blood, trail of something to kind of entice the walkers to get to that spot. But no, it was freaking like oil or fire or oil, yeah, or gasoline or something, because they put a fire parameter so the walkers would walk through it, catch on fire, and touch the walls, because all the walls were just it made it a point to show that the walls were reinforced by wood, especially from Naomi's little makeshift apartment. So that was totally rad. I loved that. Great idea. The manufactured walker herd. We've seen walker herds quite a bit in the past of these shows, especially in Walking Dead, of course, like No Way Out and everything. And hopefully, with everything going on with The Walking Dead, hopefully we'll get a Whisperer War with the mega herd. Um, and we even saw a big herd in Fear the Walking Dead last season, going to attack a broke jar camp or whatever the fuck it was called. The one that Troy was literally single-handedly hurting, which was great. But just opening up these back areas and seeing them walk through fire, it was awesome. And of course, Alicia and Nick, and now Stupid is in the back seat, Mel's in the back seat, and they're just sitting there apologizing. Oh, we're really sorry we did this, and blah 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 blah. And it just was so stupid and so out of character, in my opinion. And yeah, I guess it's just like we want to be like Madison. We're trying to be better people, and Strand. That's why Strand could say it. But and then of course they played right into everything, and and Madison just of course was forced to open the gate, and that's exactly what they wanted. So the only bit of question as far as is the question of motive and pre-planning at this point that maybe we'll see in next episode, because we're going to see more of the culmination of the attack on the diamond. Was it all planted? Was Mel's thing planted? Was Charlie in on it the whole time? She did say it was because of her, but was it because she legitimately came back for help for her friend Mel, because he was in real danger, not manufactured danger? That is the cool part about the Vultures as villains, is everything is manufactured. It's all lies. It's all very manipulative. It's very, there's a lot of manipulation going on with the Vultures, a lot of mind games, and I do enjoy that aspect of them as villains. They're not around anymore. I mean, there was 20 of them or something at least, when they had the shootout in the time thing, or the time jump ahead at the beginning of the episode. There's 20 of them to 3 of the Clark group, and they retreated. Even Mel's just like, we got to get out of here. They're like, are you sure? We got a lot of guns and we got a lot of people here. There's 3 of them, and yeah, they did. They had to leave. They were outmanned by a 17-year-old girl, Strand and Luciana. But whatever. I digress. TV show. But yeah. And then the final shot is it's very up in the air still. Is Madison just kind of looking on and seeing all this shit kind of come at them? And then we flash forward again. We're at, Naomi says the only place that we could go to kind of get these supplies that we need is back at the diamond. Al kind of punches it through the door. And you get to see, once the dust settles, that the whole place is covered with naked walkers. Not just naked, but very crispy, from walking through, that ring of fire, which is cool. I mean, some of they didn't show that scene for very long, of them all these burnt walkers, kind of converging onto the SWAT van, because some of the costumes and the makeup did look a little funky at first glance. But I appreciate what they did with it. I appreciate where they're going with it. Just the execution as far as the makeup went at the end of the episode wasn't great. Hey, Walking Deb is here right at the end. I'm sorry, Deb. I need to tell you a lot sooner before I do these live. But this is just supposed to be a quick review of last night's episode. I wanted to throw out my thoughts real quick. Like I said, there was some really cool stuff in this episode, but for the most part, just the decisions were so dumb and so bad, it felt like season 2 again, where the show is just way too good for this bad of writing. And I fucking hated that part of it. But I liked some of the execution as far as with the with the manufactured herd, the artificial herd. I love that. I love that planning and that execution. I mean, there were some great cinematic shots in here, like when they finally did lower the tailgates. It just looked like we got this kind of view of someone that would be laying down on the ground. We just saw, headlights in the background with walker feet, and I thought that was really cool. So it did have a nice, once that was happening, although it was way too short, it had some cool imagery, and it did feel very scary and very cinematic. But for a whole, this episode to me gets a 2.8, still decent score. especially for bad episodes of Fear the Walking Dead, but that's just how great this season is. So that's my thoughts on the way we were about something, the wrong side of where you were now, or something like that. That was episode 7 for season 4. It was, yeah, it was kind of home hum, but some good stuff. And I am very excited to see next week's mid-season finale. Very sad about that it's going by so fast. But now on to the announcement. Tuesday night, please join me tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be joined by the Zeus Tuber. So Mr. Zeus Tuber is coming out of retirement. Basically, he kind of did last week where he wasn't making content at all anymore. And Zeus Tuber is basically number 3 top Walking Dead YouTube channels of all time. Great stuff, fantastic. He was on the show before kicking Dead Guy Ty's face in Walking Dead trivia. So if you want to see something funny, go check that out. But he is absolutely awesome. ZooStuber is rad. He's out of retirement. He's making great content again. So please go over on his channel and subscribe to his channel to keep him there, because he is definitely, the world's a better place, especially the Walking Dead family is a better place when the ZooStuber is making great content. So he will be coming on the show tomorrow night. So yeah, Tuesdays tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be just talking everything The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, the state of The Walking Dead. We're going to be talking about Andrew Lincoln's, eventual departure. We're going to be talking about Lauren Cohen's eventual departure, and just the state of things and the state of content and the state of, just the future of everything and what that means for this franchise and Fear the Walking Dead. So please join us live tomorrow night, because it's going to be an absolute blast. So until then, Deadheads, I will see you next time. Spread the disease.